Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? It's your boys of 33. Welcome back to another episode of the Anarchy analysis Teamfight breakdown. Today we're covering G2 and XL in this grueling matchup between these two teams. Now, on this day of week 4, the second day to be exact, was the day of upsets, as this was the last day of the first half of this split. And overall, these two teams are on different sort of levels. G2 bringing in Pinoy as a sub, whereas XL are coming on the rise with Cries and Special in their new mid and top lane roles. Now, one of these two teams can win, and there's one team fight in particular I'd love to break down for you guys to express the strength of this team comp that we're about to break down. But nevertheless, DJ, spin that track and let's get into Champion Select. Now we load into Champion Select and let's cover the first 3 bans that happen in this game. Kalista, Syndra and Varus. G2 ban out Kalista and Varus and XL get the Syndra. Kalista and Varus are 2 big ADC picks that needed to be removed off the field. Normally G2 would leave the Kalista open because Perks is a fabulous Kalista player. It's probably one of his main picks in the current meta, but obviously with Pinoy subbing in for him, we're not going to see the Kalista picked up. As for the Varus, very potent ADC, probably the most threatening one in the current meta. You build lethality, he does tons of damage if they don't build a lot of armor. As for the Syndra, very strong control mage, an option that most people pick because it is very dominant in lane. She's able to push out and be a menace in team fights into the late game with the Scatter of the Weak and that execute of the ultimate. It's very, very powerful. Now, the last 3 picks we see as TF, and Ez on the XL side and Ori on G2 side. I like the bans of the TF from XL and the Ezreal. TF mainly because Caps went mad on this champion in the win against Fnatic the previous week and was able to carry G2 to a win. Similarly with the Ezreal, it's a safe option in the bot lane, and when G2 are playing with a sub ADC, getting rid of probably the safest option of a ADC in the game is a huge thing to actually do, as it puts them into a less comfortable position. It forces them into drafting a bit more freely, and if G2 don't say first pick the Aphelios and prioritize something else, then we're most likely gonna see a very poor bot laning phase for G2. Now, the first pick of this phase is going to be for the mid lane for G2 here. The Azir gets locked in, and this is kind of satisfying, I guess. I mean, you are picking probably the most blind pickable champion available for the mid lane in the Azir. Provides a lot of scaling and a lot of poke and harass in team fights. It's a very strong and quite safe champion, which allows technically a bit of roam early in the game with the shuffling and the scoop, as most people call it. But it's also very, very safe in the mid lane as an option, and realistically it does kind of force XL to have to pick a Corki into it. As for the second pick in the game, it's the Aphelios. This is on XL side, and yeah, it's probably the most offensive ADC in the current meta that's available in this game. Aphelios provides a lot of harass, a lot of poke, and is very, very strong into pretty much every matchup that's available for it now. The only one I would say it may struggle is against an MF, in terms of the fact that she can just bullet time down the wave and put him into a bad situation. Now, the pick that follows this up is the Volibear for XL, a champion that obviously is very strong in the jungle, that can be played topside, but is most known for being in the jungle in the current meta. Has a lot of early game trade potential, a lot of harass with its toolkit, and is very strong in late game team fights because it can also dive very nicely into the backline as well as jump over the Azir wall, which is a very nice kind of counter to Azir that's been chosen here by XL. Now, G2's response to the Felios is to lock in their entire bot lane, which is the Senna Wukong combo. Now, Senna is a very nice champion, I should know, I main this thing, but she's very strong with poke. She is more so played as a support ADC, where you're looking to get your actual support, who's going to be playing a proper champion in this game, such as Wukong. You get the champion Wukong to CS and farm. Reason being is Senna picks up more orbs or souls, as people call them, when when your support or whoever you're laning with kills the minions, you get more of these souls dropped. This is huge for her because it gives her more stats, and when you're wanting to build, say, more damage, these stats come naturally with the pickup of souls. Now, the last pick in this phase is the LeBlanc for XL. This is a great roaming threat that can match up to the Azir. It's another champion that can obviously deal with Azir's sort of movement, as she's able to just jump and dash straight up to him and provide a lot of poke and harass. If this champion gets ahead early, it's going to be quite hard for you to deal with her, because she'll just build more and more damage and she'll burst you out even quicker than before. Second ban phase now, let's go over the big things here. We see bans towards the jungle from XL as Olaf gets removed. Again, this is a great champion that could be played into the comp of XL, as they have a bit of lockup with the Volibear and obviously with the LeBlanc as well. So having this champion removed where there's no CC negation tools on G2's side, it's very easy to lock up, say, a Senna or a Wukong or even a Azir slightly more with the Volibear. So it is a great ban coming out of XL. Thresh and Jace on G2's side, removing a big support player in the Thresh who does provide a lot of safety to an Aphelios, is huge. It kind of forces XL to play a bit more risky with the champions that they go for, and as a whole, it's very, very strong. Similarly with the Jace, a very strong top laner, kind of puts a bit more safety for options for Wunder in that top side, as it gives him more choice into a better matchup or counter matchup. Lastly, let's go over the 4 remaining picks. We immediately see the Nautilus lock in, giving the top lane counter pick to XL here, as the Nautilus is a great lockup tool that works very well with the Volibear in terms of securing lockdowns onto champions. Plus, it's a great champion into Wukong, as it allows a decent tool to keep him CC'd in place, so he isn't dashing around your backline knocking up many targets. It's very, very potent and is quite a strong counter into the champion. G2 though, lock in the Trundle and the Set, 2 very strong AD champions, which realistically does mean there's only one AP champion on G2 side, being the Azir, which does put a bit of pressure into what damage sources G2 actually output. But Trundle, great champion into tanks. It kind of does make it so that Kryze isn't going to be playing this tank match up top. It also means that it's more so going to be used to use his Subjugate onto Nautilus to keep him kind of not as healthy as he wants to be, so he isn't making these brash hooks plays. So a good kind of counter into that. Similarly with the Set lock-in, a very strong sort of matchup champion into most lanes. Obviously provides a lot of damage in close quarters and can actually burst out opponents with ease. Now, this is the very kind of crisp pick here for the XL draft, as they go for the Quinn into a Set matchup. And I like this matchup because Set has a bit of trouble with ranged champions, as if he can't get him close to him, he isn't going to do much to him. And considering Quinn is very good at extending her range against champions with her E, where she can dash into them and push them back as she can then hop backwards with that ability. She also does very well into set in terms of trading, and it's a very nice carry, which is a thing Cries is known for in the top lane, into this matchup. Nevertheless, that is this team fight or team comps broken down piece by piece. The big thing about them is that G2 does have a lot of scaling in their kit, a lot more power towards the late game, but there is realistically only one damage type, so Nautilus realistically is going to be very bulky, similarly with the volley, whereas XL do have scale. They have a lot of hard carries. Yes, there's only two damage type, well, only one AP champion minus the volley, I guess. But it's still a very strong set of champions here by XL, and this could be a very interesting fight that we're going to break down. Now, this is literally the last fight in the game that I've decided to break down here. And as you can see, G2 are quite heavily losing a 10k gold lead on the side of XL. And the reason I picked out this fight is I just want to show you how strong Aphelios is, even after the recent nerfs. So the fight is kicked off with a man advantage going over to G2, as it's a 4v3. And the big thing here is XL's main carries in the Quinn and the LeBlanc aren't in the area for this. It's just a Nautilus, a Aphelios, and a Volibear for XL, whereas G2 have their Azir, their Trundle, Senna, and Wukong all in this area, giving them a slight advantage over this team fight to start with. G2 immediately focused down the Aphelios, targeting it as the main damage source in this fight. And the big mistake here is G2 burst all their CC and lockup on the Aphelios, literally all on top of each other instead of stagnating it out. As the Shurima Shuffle and the Wukong CC ultimate are used on top of each other, overlapping the CC and realistically not keeping the Aphelios stunned for long enough. Now, because Aphelios doesn't get bursted out, a big play is about to happen, and one minor thing people don't actually notice is Patrick uses his last shot in the green gun to give him the red gun, which allows this play to happen. So you're probably wondering, why is this important for the red gun? Well, it's called Severum. Now, the main thing about this gun is it is a scythe that heals Aphelios for roughly 20% health. And the reason it's 20% is because it's based on his level. In this play, Aphelios is max level, he's level 18, so it's definitely doing 20%. And the best thing about this is the ability you get with the red gun. It's called Onslaught. Essentially, Severum gets activated for 1.5 seconds, Aphelios gains 20% bonus movement speed, so he can go madly running around in a team fight, just attacking quite quickly because it attacks the nearest visible target as well, and it prioritizes champions, and it gives him 3 plus 100% bonus attack speed. You get the gist here. He's going to be attacking very fast and healing very quickly, so it's going to be hard for anyone to burst him out when you've just used all your CC. Immediately, he turns onto Pinoy and uses his secondary Infernum with the Onslaught to kill the Senna. Immediately after, he gets put into status as his GA pops. And while this has happened, LeBlanc has roamed up in order to get to this fight. This alleviates some of the pressure on the Aphelios, as he isn't the main target as a new challenger approaches and kills the Azir off followed by the Trundle, and then the Wukong, as 3 kills go straight over to LeBlanc. Now in this frame we actually do see a TP coming in from G2 to make this a 5v4, but what exactly happens to it? Well, in the picture by picture we do see this teleport happen, and Quinn essentially stops this by using her bird form to get to Set TPing him very quickly and challenge him to a fight. She immediately uses a read to knock him out of the teleportation animation and challenges him straight to a fight and gets him very low. Once over the wall with the showstopper, we see the ends of this fight with the LeBlanc chasing down the Set, killing him off for the Quadra, and well, this ends the game in favour of XL. All 5 alive as Aphelios only pops his GA, and LeBlanc comes in and sweeps up the kills to win the game for XL. Well, my overall opinion on this game, it was very well drafted by XL. Responding to the Set top lane worked out wonders for them with the Quinn pick, as it kind of essentially won that last fight for them. Yes, it was very even, and G2 were obviously stacking Drakes in order to get the soul win condition, but XL just shut it down quite quickly, and they kind of shut down the bot lane of G2 very hard, as they didn't allow the Wukong to do much, nor the Senna. It was only realistically Caps who carried G2 in this game and kept them in it very well. But you look at the side of XL, they had a Quinn that got fed. They had a LeBlanc who was extremely fed. Similarly with the Aphelios, who was essentially unkillable with the Bloodthirster, as he just healed non-stop. And honestly, if that fight, if he didn't get the Infernum off one auto attack before he got CC chained, he might have just died there and then. But obviously the healing that he could put out meant that he was staying alive even longer. And if Set, say, teleported from actually in the fountain instead of in the middle of a lane where he's kind of been spotted by minions, it meant essentially that XL were gonna win. Sure, if Set didn't actually TP, I think the game would have ended sooner though, because Quinn was obviously heading towards G2's base and probably was gonna backdoor if she had the chance to. But obviously she did stop the TP and 1v1 the Set dead. But overall, a very strong teamfight outing from the XL boys, picking up a win against a G2 team that has been struggling this summer split. Nevertheless, my name is izlogic.business. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, leave a comment on your thoughts on this teamfight, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.